On the call, the woman is heard sobbing heavily. Jermaine Burton on the Bengals just broke into my house, she said. He broke my phone. This isn't even an opinion. At this point in time, it's a cold hard fact. Jermaine Burton, number one, is crazy, and number two, he has anger problems. You can't help people like Jermaine Burton, and I wish I could sit up here and say I feel bad for him, but I don't. This man just ruined his career before it even really got going. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great start to your week. Hope all of you having a great Tuesday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, we gotta talk about some wild and bizarre news surrounding Mr. Jermaine Burton. Now, if you're an Alabama football fan or a Georgia fan or really just an SEC football fan in general, you remember this guy. He was a very solid wide receiver for Georgia. Then out of nowhere, he announces, you know what, I'm going to enter the transfer portal, and you know where he winds up? Alabama. At Alabama, people had high expectations for him, and I'd say he lived up to them. He wasn't some legendary all-time great wide receiver for Alabama, but he was good. Long story short, he declares for the 2024 NFL Draft, and he gets selected in the 3rd round with the 80th overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. And he was alright for the Bengals, didn't really play a lot at the wide receiver position. However, he was their starting kick returner. And that's how most of your wide receivers start out if they're not getting a lot of playing time. They start as a kick returner, then eventually they work their way into rotation. Also wasn't doing Burton any favors that the Cincinnati Bengals have some really good wide receivers. I think it is more than safe to say the future is looking bright for Mr. Jermaine Burton. That was up until this. Jermaine Big Money Burton himself is back in the news, and it is not good news to say the least. It started out with this. Recently, it was announced that he will not be traveling with the Bengals to their final game, which had everybody asking this question right here. What in the world is going on? I did happen to see some of these rumors and allegations come out, but I waited to talk on it because I didn't know what was true and what wasn't. Well, coming to find out, he's being accused of assault, he got evicted from his apartment complex, and he has to pay $10,000 in damages. Oh, and by the way, that's just the beginning. There's way more to all this, and you already know we're going to dive deep into detail with it. I'm going to read a lot of this off word for word so you guys can follow along. It's some crazy stuff. Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jermaine Burton is accused of blanking a woman he was dating, just assaulting. YouTube doesn't like that word, so I gotta be careful. But she refused to press charges, Cincinnati police reports show. We see this happen all the time. This isn't anything new. Where the girlfriend and the boyfriend, they get into a heated argument. She calls the cops, then eventually they cool down, and she doesn't want to see her boyfriend actually get in trouble for it. Continuing along, an assault was reported the morning of December 30th, just days before the Cincinnati Bengals nixed Burton from traveling with the team to Pittsburgh, the last game of the season. If you are wondering, no, this isn't some coinky doink. They knew what happened and they knew what went on. The Inquirer also learned that Burton is facing eviction from his apartment at the Banks. Those proceedings started December 17th. The Bengals did not say why Burton did not travel other than stating it was a coach's decision, raising questions about why and prompting the Inquirer to make a public records request for information related to Burton. 2 reports and a recording of a 911 call the woman made were released Wednesday morning. Rumors of a possible assault swirled on social media over the weekend. In a cryptic Instagram story posted Saturday, Burton wrote, and I quote, "Lies. Stop hitting my phone." The Bengals responded to the Inquirer's request for comment with the following statement: "We are aware of information related to Jermaine Burton. We will continue to evaluate as we gather additional details and will have no further comment at this time." The woman who called the police on Jermaine Burton declined to comment. She did say in the 911 call, "He hit me and he left." Reports show Burton and the woman met in September and dated on and off in the month prior to the alleged assault. The two had been out together and argued before the incident in the woman's Oakley neighborhood apartment, reports show. After that night out, police were called and the woman said Burton met her at her apartment, chased her inside, damaged her phone, and assaulted her, including choking her. Holy crap. By the way, this is actually my first time looking at this. I wanted to give you my live reaction to all of it. I knew what went down, but I didn't know these details, if that makes sense. The caller said before leaving, Burton held a knife to his neck and threatened to, we'll just say, off himself. The woman, who is 19, called police for help at around 8:45 a.m. On the call, the woman is heard sobbing heavily. "Jermaine Burton on the Bengals just broke into my house," she said. "He broke my phone." She added, "He's been pretty abusive. He does a lot of things that I don't tolerate." She said they had been out the night before when he got mad at her. She continued to say, "He was yelling at me in the car and he was screaming at me and saying things." They parted ways, and when she got home, Burton was waiting for her. Nah, this guy's a psycho. Quote unquote, "He wouldn't let me go inside and he choked me in the hallway. He blocked the door so I couldn't go inside, and when I did go inside, he chased me upstairs." I'll address that in just just a second. He broke into my house. He broke my phone. This is the second time he's broke my phone in the past month. She then said he was going to blank himself. He's a narcissist. He's a manipulator. He got in my dishwasher and he grabbed a knife and he held it to his neck, she said, telling the call taker that he had left the knife behind. I don't effing deserve this, she said. I'm only 19. I don't know what you being 19 has to do with any of it, but okay. I know she's a victim in this, but you're with Jermaine Burton and you know he's crazy. So at this point in time, that's on you. When police arrived, Burton was already gone. The woman, whose name is redacted from police reports, told officers much of what she told the call taker. The woman suffered minor injuries but did not need medical attention, the report says. Investigators said Burton is suspected of having used alcohol and stated force was involved. According to the report, the woman initially said she wanted to file charges but then changed her mind. Okay, so there we have it. Now, before we go any farther, I want to remind some of y'all this is not Burton's first, I guess you'd say, problem with the Cincinnati Bengals. Before the season even started, Jermaine Burton, he fell down the depth chart because he didn't even know the playbook. Then there was another incident, when was that? On it was like halfway through the season, week 8 or week 9, where the head coach, Zach Taylor, he wound up making him inactive and stated, quote unquote, it was something along the lines of Jermaine Burton needs to handle business the right way. All you need to know is there were more problems in the midst of the season. And then last but not least, you have this to end out the season. So he got in trouble to start the season before it even started. He got in trouble in the middle of the season. And at the end, you got to clap it up to Jermaine Burton, the trifecta. It takes one big idiot to get in trouble before the season, in the middle, and at the end. You almost got to respect it at this point in time. Before I address anything he did, according to this woman, I also got to throw this in there. This is not Jermaine Burton's first run-in with a girl either, because for those of you that don't recall, he got in trouble, or actually nothing came out of it, but after Alabama wound up getting upset by Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, I remember this like it was yesterday, we were covering it nonstop. Jermaine Burton, he's walking off the field, and I don't know, I hate saying he punched the girl, but he pretty much dang near punched the girl. If not a punch, we'll just say he shoved her. It was pretty crazy. She got in his way, and he wound up hitting her so hard, she fell to the ground, if I'm not mistaken. I share that with you to say this. When I first saw these reports and heard the news that Jermaine Burton allegedly did some of these things, was I shocked? Heck to the no. This guy obviously has anger problems. You don't gotta be a rocket scientist to figure this out. And I already know you're gonna have some people stating this, although I don't think many people are gonna be taking up for him. Well, Matt, what about innocent till proven guilty? I'm with that. But at the same time, there's a thing we've been talking about on the channel recently, and that's pattern recognition. I'm gonna bring up the example. I know some of you may be sick and tired of it, but it's the best one I can give you. When the first group of humans to ever walk on this earth discovered a lion, you know what the first guy in that group said? Hey, look at that thing over there. I'm going to go up to it and pet it. It looks fluffy. It looks friendly. You know what the lion did? It bit his arm off. You know what the second guy in the group said? He said, maybe that was a freak accident. The lion didn't mean to do that. Maybe he said something to the lion that made it mad. I'm going to go up to it and pet it. And you know what the lion did? Bit his arm off. Third guy in the group said, okay, maybe that was just 2 freak accidents. I'm going to go up to the lion and pet it. What'd the lion do? It attacked him as well. And eventually, guy number 4, 5, 6, 7, so on in the group came to the executive decision, you know what? Lions aren't friendly. And ever since that day, we've stayed away from them. What's that called, ladies and gentlemen? Say it with me. Pattern recognition. Same thing here. Jermaine Burton attacks a girl after the Alabama-Tennessee game. That's number 1. Number 2, gets in trouble with the Bengals before the season, gets in trouble in the middle of the season, and now this. If Jermaine Burton has already, this is on video evidence, attacked a girl before, it's not hard for me to believe he'd do it a second or third time. Why is that, you may ask? Great question, my friend. I'll let her answer it. Pattern recognition. This isn't even an opinion. At this point in time, it's a cold hard fact. Jermaine Burton, number 1, is crazy, and number 2, he has anger problems. Nick Saban even talked about it at Alabama. I remember one time Saban was like, yeah, we're trying to work on him and get him better at that. But now here we are. You're with the Bengals. You're a young buck in the NFL trying to make a way for yourself, and you go and do this. And the Bengals were giving him a pretty decent opportunity already. Not that he deserved it. He was already returning kicks for him. And I'm convinced at this point in time, especially with the Kyron Lacey incident that happened only a couple days ago, some people out in here, they don't want generational wealth. They don't want it. I started saying this last summer in the What Happened To videos we make in the offseason when we talk about players, how they ruin their careers, and more importantly than their career, they ruin their life. Something mentally has to be wrong with people like this. Here's what I'm talking about. Number 1, regardless of if you're in the NFL or not, just take that away. It's never okay for Jermaine Burton to do what he allegedly did to this female. And I don't care what a female does to you as a man. I don't believe it's okay for a man to put his hand on a female. Unless she spits on you, that's really a different conversation for a different day. Spitting is one of the most disrespectful things anybody can ever do. You just shouldn't treat people like this. And it's not even like, oh, you're in the NFL, you should be the bigger man. No. As a human, you shouldn't treat another human like this. But secondly, to go to the NFL part, and that's why I say something mentally's got to be wrong with this people. If I were in Jermaine Burton's shoes, knowing I have generational wealth on the line, even if a girl or anybody made me super mad, super angry, before I did anything, I would think about mine. Well, wait a minute. Is it worth ruining my career and livelihood and money over this? No. Wanting to attack somebody in the first place is crazy in its own right. But still going through with it, knowing it could and more than likely will cost you your entire career, it's insane. You can't help people like Jermaine Burton, and I wish I could sit up here and say I feel bad for him, but I don't. This man just ruined his career before it even really got going. The only person to blame is yourself, Jermaine Burton. Period. The end. There's many more things I could say. I'm going to end it off here. Let me know your thoughts and all this down below. But